Hey Scotts Hill kids, Ranger Ryan and Mossy Megan were really pigging out, weren't they? That was pretty funny. Well, today we're gonna jump into another story from the Bible, and I'm super excited about it. But first, I have a problem that I need your help with. You see, I planned to have this dinner party tonight with Miss Summer, and well, I needed bread, and I went to the grocery store and all I could find was half of a loaf, which is really strange. So you're problem solvers and you're even better problem solvers than me. So I'm wondering if you can help me know how to take this loaf of bread, our half loaf, and how to make it into more. Okay, maybe if I split it into a few different groups, then that'll give me more bread. What do you think? I had one, now I have 1, 2, 3.5. What if I just split every slice maybe? I have a lot now. What if I just, yeah, that's great. Let's just, wow, okay, so do I have more than when I started? I had one loaf and now I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait a second. It's the same as when I started, isn't it? It's the same big loaf, I just tore it up into small pieces. Well, we've been talking all about miracles, but if we stop to think, what is a miracle? A miracle is a seemingly unexplainable event that goes against the laws of nature. Do you remember the miracle that Mr. Trevor talked about last week? It was Jesus calming the storm. Now, you and I could try as hard as we could. We could try to force ourselves to stop the storm. We could say anything we would want to say, but it wouldn't stop the storm. It would keep raging on. The wind would keep blowing. The rain would keep falling. We don't have that power to calm a storm, but Jesus has that type of miracle power. Well, today we're going to talk about another miracle, and it has to do with bread and fish. Let's jump in. Jesus and his disciples were always hard at work. From sunrise to sunset, they were usually on the road talking to other people. Jesus was healing others and telling everyone about who he was. He was telling them about heaven and about who his Father, God, was. Well, Jesus knew how hard they were working. And so he decided that they were going to go off to a quiet place to rest. And so they went off to an abandoned, quiet area. Well, they weren't there for too long when they noticed this huge crowd of people that came and found them there. They can't even get 1 second of rest. Well, this large crowd really wanted to be with them, so they received them there in their quiet place. It wasn't so quiet anymore. Well, it was getting near dinner time, and they were in this really abandoned place in the middle of nowhere. So Jesus' disciples told him, Jesus, you better send these people off to go get some dinner. Well, Jesus said something really fascinating. He said, why don't you give them something to eat? Now, let me tell you something, Scotts Hill kids. This isn't just a handful of people on the hill. This is over 5,000 people. And Jesus tells his group, his handful of disciples, why don't you go feed them? That's crazy. So the disciples are probably thinking the same as you and I. There is no way, Jesus, are you crazy? How do you think we're going to feed these 5,000 people? We don't have any food. Send them away. But Jesus knew what he was going to do. Jesus is the miracle worker, remember? So Jesus said, what kind of food do you have around here? And so they found a boy nearby, and he had a few loaves of bread and some fish. Kind of like this. And Jesus took those few loaves and fish and he took them to himself and he looked up to heaven and he prayed to God and thanked him for that food. He broke the bread, he gave it back to the disciples, and then they started to pass it out to the crowd. And it was incredible. All of a sudden, they realized that they had plenty to share. They only started with a couple loaves of bread and some fish, and all of a sudden they were feeding hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people with just that little amount of food. How did this happen? Jesus performed a miracle. He literally created food out of nothing. And get this, this is my favorite part. There were not one, there were not two, not four, not six, not eight, not 10, but 12 leftover baskets of bread and fish. Jesus performed a mighty miracle. This is amazing. So Jesus literally out of nothing made new food, made new bread and new fish, and had enough for all the people in the crowd. As hard as I could imagine, as hard as you or I could try, we could never do anything like this because we don't have the miracle power that Jesus does. I am so excited when I think about this type of miracle power and that day on the hill where Jesus made all that food. But if we're only thinking about food, we're missing it. Because as cool as that was with Jesus creating food and doing that miracle, it's really at the end of the day not about bread and it's not about fish. We know this because the very next day, the crowd that Jesus fed came up to him trying to get another free fish sandwich. You know what I'm saying? They wanted their next free fish sandwich. Well, they come up to him the next day and Jesus already knows what they're after. Jesus knows that all they want is more free food. Who doesn't love some free food? But he knows this, but he knows there's something way more important to learn. The lesson of the previous day with him multiplying the bread and getting more fish, it was about so much more than they thought. And so Jesus opened his mouth and started speaking again, and he said something very, very important. If you don't remember anything else that I say, I want you to remember this line that Jesus said. It's in the book of John in the Bible, chapter 6, verse 35. Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst." Whoa, that is beyond amazing. So Jesus said to the crowd, "I am the bread." Have you ever gone around to somebody saying, "I'm a goldfish," or "I'm pizza"? No, that's not normal. But what is Jesus saying when he says, "I am the bread"? He's saying, "I am the one who satisfies your soul." Food fills your belly, but I, Jesus, satisfy your soul. We eat food to fill us up, to make us feel satisfied and full. Well, what happens in a few hours, or maybe a few minutes with some of us? We get hungry again. But Jesus said that when he's in our lives, that he fills up our souls and he satisfies us so that we won't get hungry for love. We won't get hungry for acceptance. We won't get hungry for hope and help because he satisfies us in those ways. With Jesus, our souls are satisfied and we don't have to want for anything. That is so exciting. So friends, don't miss it. Food fills our bellies, but Jesus satisfies our souls. I really hope that you have received the bread of life, that Jesus is in your life, because I know that when he is, you're going to be full of love, you're going to be full of help and hope and all good things. Love you, Scotts Hill kids. See you soon. Keep going.
I don't know. I mean,